Hey, this is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Kings winning streak came to an end last night in Milwaukee with the Bucks beating them 144-109. Now the Kings are off today and tomorrow. They welcome in the Toronto Raptors on Wednesday to kick off a 4-game homestand. Two A's walked away with gold gloves after the season. First baseman Matt Olson and third baseman Matt Chapman both won the award for the first time. That was announced yesterday. And in some NFL action, the Saints knocked off the previously undefeated Rams 45-35 down in New Orleans. The Steelers snuck past the Ravens 23-16. The Falcons were all over Washington 38-14, and the Patriots rallied late to pull away from the Packers for a 31-17 win. Monday Night Football will wrap up Week 9 of the NFL season with the Titans visiting the Cowboys in Dallas. We'll have that game for you right here on Sports 1140 with coverage beginning at 5 o'clock. Those are your top stories, and now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning, morning, morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
All right, so as promised, Giannis Antetokounmpo also happens to be Greek, much like Costa, and we were remembering Costa and how fond we were of him before we went to break. We weren't the only ones, though. Giannis was asked about the dunk after the game.
No. It's low. It wasn't that impressive. That's my guy. That's my countryman. I'm not going to talk bad about him, but yeah, he was too.
I was just going to ask, do you feel any guilt?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. And I've met his family. I've met his mother. So it's going to be kind of awkward when we go back to Greece and talk again. But you got to do what you got to do.
Giannis, can you kind of...
I want to follow up. I think he's asked here about how it feels to dunk the basketball, and his answer was very, very uniquely Giannis.
Describe what that feeling is like when you do connect on a dunk like that.
You don't know what the feeling is like.
I certainly don't know.
No, but you don't want to know the answer. It's two things. That and the other thing that I cannot say in camera. So it's kind of similar feeling.
So Giannis was asked what it feels like to dunk like that. And he said, you don't want to know. And the reporter pushed him, and Giannis says, well, it's that. I don't know what that was. And he said, it's also something I can't say on camera. Now, I think I know what he's trying to say, right? I think I know.
Have you seen the other guys?
With Marky Mark and
Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
Do you remember the scene where they're in the group session?
I saw it one time, dude.
Okay.
Is he trying to say that it's arousing?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that where he's going there? Okay.
I think so.
All right. He also said before that, and sorry, that audio was really low. I hope you caught that. But he was saying it's going to be tough. He loves Costa. He knows his family. He's met his mother. Costa's a great guy. It's going to be tough when they go back to Greece.
I would honestly rather him just be like I know he's Giannis is super nice. That's what he's known for. He's 23 or whatever he is. He's super nice and he's just a young, naive kid.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost more disrespectful what he's saying.
You want to basically say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Costa. I'm a
6'11" athletic marvel, and a guy got in my way, I'm gonna dunk. But he's he's a nice guy. It's gonna be awkward for us because I just dominated him.
Everyone remembers and will remember that dunk. That's what everyone's talking about. That's fine. I gotta tell you though, dude. There was a play that stood out to me more than that, and that was, I don't know why it stood out to me more than that. It was in the, I think, first quarter. Bucks shot the ball. Nemanja Bjelica boxes out. And Giannis comes up from behind Bjelica, jumps, and puts those giant arms over Bjelica, grabs the rebound without any contact.
Yeah, no over the back.
No over the back, because I actually was thinking, Dude, that has to be over the back. Giannis literally put his arms over Bjelica's head, grabbed the ball from where Bjelica was about to grab the ball, and then snapped it back. I look back. They didn't make contact. Here's the thing. Nemanja Bjelica is 6'10".
Yeah.
And Giannis just jumped over him, stretched those arms out.
Like
just
a
grabs
baby.
it like nothing.
And that's what. So the most impressive part of the Costa dunk, because that's a giant athletic dude dunking on a giant less athletic dude.
Yes.
Was the crossover to get past Amon Shumpert. Amon Shumpert is a good defender.
He is.
And this 6'11" alien crossed him over.
Yes.
And then got to the rack, like G-Man so eloquently put in his call, in 2 giant steps and hammered it out. Like, the fact that he can just take the ball at the top of the key and put it on the deck and get past a very good perimeter defender is just terrifying. And the fact that Mike Budenholzer has him doing that is even more terrifying.
I want to spend enough, we'll spend a lot of time on the Kings in the 7:30, but just to kind of continue on Antetokounmpo, because it kind of makes me feel better about the Kings.
Yeah,
not mad about the loss.
No.
Would have liked it to have been closer, but not mad about the loss.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a statement that I don't think is controversial, and I want you to agree with me or don't, because that's what sports talk radio is. If everybody was released and contracts and everything was all considered, whatever, everything was the same.
In a vacuum.
If they had an NBA draft tomorrow of all available players, I believe Giannis Antetokounmpo would be number 1. Ahead of Durant, ahead of LeBron. I'm taking age into equation. I'm taking everything into equation.
So we're restarting all franchises.
And you have the number 1 pick, and you've got to take into account who would you grab currently in the NBA to build your future team around. Not this year. Who is the most valuable asset in the NBA as a player
all contracts being equal, it's got to be Giannis.
I think it does.
There are going to be arguments for Kawhi. There will be arguments for Durant.
I figured Durant would be the biggest one.
Yeah, because Durant is like the first prototype of Giannis.
Right.
He's a better shooter, but Giannis, I think, he's 7 years younger, 6 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll probably get arguments for LeBron.
Durant's 30 years old.
Yeah. What's Giannis, 23?
Giannis will be 24, I believe, in December.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like Giannis has been 23 for like 6 years.
He will turn 24 December 6th.
Ridiculous.
Here's the amazing thing about Giannis Antetokounmpo. I honestly think there are 2 reasons why he's not a bigger star. Well, there's a couple, but there's a few, but there's 2. What?
Oh, I was just counting for you.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Number 1, he plays in Milwaukee.
That's a big one.
Number 2, I think a lot of people struggle to say his name. And I know that sounds really stupid, but I think, honest to God, the combination of Milwaukee and the fact that people struggle to say his name, they push it aside. And I think that goes to media. I think that goes to some broadcasters. I think a lot of people just want to avoid it.
No, because
it's just call him Giannis, dude. Like Madonna.
No, because his first name stands alone. Like his first name, Giannis. That works.
Are there any other Giannis's that are famous?
I don't think so.
Can't he just be Giannis?
Yeah,
we do it with LeBron.
And that's what LeBron, Kobe,
Shaq,
Oprah,
Prince,
Shaq, Prince. So you have Giannis, and I think that's easy enough to say. I think the reason he's not a bigger star is because we haven't seen him in an offense that allows him to really thrive. Because we've been expecting, there's been this expected breakout for Giannis since 2015. And we just haven't quite seen it. We've seen flashes wow, man, Giannis. But I think this is the year where he's going to go average. What's he averaging right now? He's averaging 26, 14, and 6.
Right. But last year he averaged 27, 8, and 5. That's a breakout.
27, 10, and 5.
What'd I say, 8? Oh, I'm sorry. As long as defensive rebounds.
Right.
27, 10, and 5.
Yeah, and he had a really good year last year.
That's a really good year.
Right. Totally understood. I think part of it's because he's in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
He hasn't, you have to do it on the playoff stage.
Sure.
To hit that national, like, holy crap. Like, there hasn't been that moment yet with Giannis. And I think we're going to have it this year. This is going to be it.
People said the same thing about Michael Jordan. They did. They said the same thing you did. They did. They said he's got to do it on the playoff stage. And once upon a time, I know this sounds weird, but Michael Jordan was a really good scorer who couldn't do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah. No,
he scored 63 against the Celtics, but they won the series.
Right.
He can't go up against Detroit. They're too hardcore.
Right.
I mean, Giannis is 23 years old, and as you said, 26, 14, 1.5 blocks. 5 assists? I'm sorry, 6 assists a game. Oh, by the way, people want to bitch about Ben Simmons. Giannis doesn't shoot three-pointers.
No, he made his second 3 of the year, I think, against the Kings.
And people, they fixate on that about Ben Simmons. Like, dude, Giannis is averaging. He averaged last year 27 points. He's averaging 26 this year.
I think it's because Giannis is like a power forward type. It's less it's less expected for his position.
He is doing just fine without the 3.
Do you know how many playoff games Giannis has played in his career?
What is he? Didn't he? Wasn't last year his first year in the playoffs?
No, he's been in the playoffs 3 times.
I will say 12,
19. But he hasn't gone past the first round.
Yeah.
Is my point. He's yet to go past the first round, and I think when you get him into a situation where. And he averaged 2016-17, he averaged 25, 9.5, and 4. And then last year averaged 26, 10, and 6.
Yeah.
He's doing it in the playoffs. He's doing it in the regular season. He needs to get to, I think, to counter your point, I think he needs to do it in like the Eastern Conference Finals.
I agree.
Get to the finals to hit that. I don't think it has to do with his name.
Here's what I think. I don't think he hasn't done. I don't think the Bucks haven't advanced in the playoffs because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think it's because of the team that's been around him.
Oh, yeah.
I think Giannis has done just fine.
Their coaching situation has been a disaster.
And Mike Budenholzer is the perfect coach for him.
Yes.
Perfect coach for that team.
And eventually Giannis, who's 23, we're going to say that again, he's going to develop a serviceable three-point shot.
He's just going to keep getting better. He's not even done growing yet. You saw how much he bulked up in the offseason.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun to look at a guy like Giannis. And for good reason, LeBron, Steph, KD, Harden, Westbrook, those are your torchbearers in the NBA. Those are the ones that are carrying the load for the NBA. But make no mistake about it, Giannis is more valuable to the future of the NBA than any of those guys. This is your future. Someday, imagine this, you're going to be talking about Giannis not only breaking records, but being a first ballot Hall of Famer, all that stuff. The only thing standing in the way is injury. That's it. That's all he's got to worry about. And by the way, this is a guy who hasn't played any less than 75 games in a season. And he's 23, Kyle. Okay? He's 23 years old. Here is maybe the most amazing thing. He's in his 6th season.
Yeah, when I said it feels like he's been 23 for 6 years, I wasn't joking.
He's in his 6th season at 23.
At some point, Giannis is going to take over the NBA.
And it goes without saying as we go to break, Jeff Petrie begged Pete D'Alessandro to bring him in for workouts. It was one of Jeff's final acts as a consultant when they made the transition. Jeff wanted Giannis Antetokounmpo. High on him. Scouted him. Doesn't mean we would have drafted him. This isn't hindsight, kind of. He's really good. And there's no shame in losing to his Bucks team. None at all. Now the Kings come back. They'll take on Toronto. They get a couple of days off, Monday, Tuesday. They'll play Wednesday against the Toronto Raptors. No word as of yet as to whether or not Bogdan Bogdanovic will return for that game. Bogey said it himself. That's what he has his eye on. We'll try to find that out later in the week. When we come back, let's switch a little football action. Kyle, there was football over the weekend.
Was there?
Yeah, a few good games, including Sunday Night Football, which a lot of people are crapping on that game. I enjoyed that game for many reasons.
Yeah, I had a good time with it.
As you said last night, proving once and for all that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, better than Aaron Rodgers. You tweeted that, not me. We'll talk about that next, right here on The Drive. Sports 1140 KHTK. Four Down Territory brought to you by Fire Wings. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com. Just wing it. Too bad this news just came in a few minutes ago, Kyle. We would have put it in our Four Down Territory questions. Epic Games in the NFL have just struck a deal, which means now when you're in Fortnite, you can go into the in-game store and outfit your character in any NFL jersey and add any number.
I would be willing to bet that nobody will use the number 69.
Nobody. I'm actually willing to bet that number will probably be outlawed. Watch. I hope they don't. Actually, I don't care. That was kind of the point. There are 3 things that occurred over the weekend that made me feel old. Number 1, I saw my kids and their friends playing Minecraft. I've never understood that game. Number 2,
such a weird game.
This Fortnite thing. Also don't understand it, but it is everything to these kids. And then number 3, I saw in college football an announcer, I heard an announcer say, Patrick Surtain, the freshman with the tackle.
No.
Right? Patrick Surtain, the freshman. Or Surtain. I remember him playing very well, and now his kid is playing in college.
Yeah, Torrey Hunter and David Robinson's kids both being at Notre Dame stunk. Ken Griffey Jr.'s kid being at U of A.
Wait till Shaq's kid starts playing. AJ
Hinch, who I remember playing for the A's. Alex Cora, I remember.
Somebody one of the more recent hires in as a manager in baseball, I forget the name, but triggered something. Somebody went back to like 1993 Nintendo Baseball, or there was some game, and made a lineup of current players then that were all managers today.
Wow.
Yeah, I went, okay. First down.
My dad said I'll really feel old when managers are the kids of the people he grew up watching play.
God.
Yeah. First down. Are the Rams still the best team in football?
I don't know. Even though I wrote this question last night, I haven't had an entire day to think about it. But yes, I think. I don't want to make too big of a deal. I don't want to go crazy on the Rams, who came back and tied the score at 35 on the road in an insane environment. And I don't want to sit here and say, oh, the Rams are going to lose to the Saints in a neutral field. That's how I try to think of it. They all play at a neutral site. Who wins? I would still give like a hair to the Rams.
Yeah, it's extremely close. And if somebody wants to argue for the Saints, I'm not gonna die on that.
Somebody wants to argue for the Saints, that's fine. We're gonna see it.
Argue for the Chiefs.
We're gonna see that very soon on a neutral field in Mexico. Yeah. We're going to see Chiefs and Rams.
Yeah, Chiefs, Rams, Saints all have a claim to that throne, and I think I probably go Rams, but like you said, it's extremely thin, the margin.
By the way, meanwhile, what's that? Oh, hi, we're the Patriots. We're just hanging, laughing. They'll end up winning the whole thing. Patriots will win the whole thing. Watch. They're just chilling.
I said it after the Lions game. I tweeted, this is the annual game that we'll look back on in February and go, hey, how come we ever doubted the Patriots?
Second down.
Second down.
Did we learn more about the Falcons or the Redskins yesterday?
I think the Redskins.
Yeah, they're not good.
Now, I remember last week putting the Redskins at number 5 in my power rankings, and I felt like I kind of had to. They were 5-2. They're top of the NFC East. You know, Adrian Peterson was dodging father time. They had beaten the Cowboys. They'd beaten the Panthers. They'd beaten the Packers. Okay. Got to kind of give them credit at some point. I think Jay Gruden hurt us. And at the same time, I don't think the Redskins were ever as good as their record.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the Patriots, not that the Falcons are the Patriots, but I don't think they were ever as bad as their record. They're 4-4 right now.
They're very banged up defensively.
But they also still have that plug-and-play offense. They have one of the best, and you could argue the best receiver core in the NFL, and a guy in Matt Ryan who's still trying to find his way post Kyle Shanahan. They went into D.C. and spanked Washington. So, yeah, I think we learned why that NFC East is a little questionable as it is.
Yeah, Washington's not that good, and the Falcons are just kind of who they are. They're like an 8-8 team.
Third down.
Third down.
All right, so the Texans won in Denver. They've now won 6 in a row.
Yep.
What did they figure out?
Now, I want to turn this back on you because
Please.
we talked about this in the now world famous "Do you believe in the Texans?" conversation, and this isn't about are the Texans going to win the Super Bowl or the Texans going to be in the AFC Championship. Kyle, is it just simply do you look at their 6 wins in a row and say, hey, not for nothing, but they've played almost all crappy teams? It's that simple. They're still not really that above average.
Yeah, 3-point win over the Colts, 3-point win over the Cowboys, 7-point win over the Bills that took a Nathan Peterman pick 6 to get past the Bills.
Shocker.
They beat the Jaguars 20-7, which is looking like a less good win by the week. A worse win by the week.
Nice job, dude. Less good.
Looking like a worse win by the week. They beat the Dolphins pretty handily at home on Thursday Night Football, and then they just snuck past the Broncos thanks to a missed field goal at the end of the first half and at the end of the game.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're certainly playing better because but Deshaun Watson is starting to get his legs back under him. Their offensive line's been playing a little bit better.
Lamar Miller's been released. Demarius Thomas had a nice debut for them. They have DeAndre Hopkins.
They just
J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney.
They just okay. I mean they have some talent. They're like I said, they're probably going to win their division because their division's bad.
And let me ask you this then, because then what do we do here? What if they roll into Philadelphia on December 23rd on a 10-game win streak, which is absolutely in play? They play in D.C. next week. Then the Titans at home, the Browns at home, the Colts at home. Then they go to the Jets. By the way, after the Eagles, they finish at home versus the Jaguars, who they already beat on the road.
There's a real path to like 12-4 here.
There's a real path to them finishing the year having won 11 of 12 games. And by the way, should they go into Philly, which neither of us believe they're going to do, and win the game, they roll into the playoffs on a 12-game win streak?
Yeah. Winning. This is not. If they winning 6 in a row in the NFL is very impressive.
Sure.
But when you look at the context of that winning streak,
right?
It's like I'm not going to go label these guys Super Bowl contenders.
I'm with you.
Now,
I'm with you.
Now, if let's say they win out. Let's say they go 13-3.
Sure.
They go into the playoffs on a 13-game winning streak, and they have won their final 5 games by an average of 20 points.
Okay.
Now we're looking at, oh, wow, they really started figuring it out. But if they're sneaking past bad teams and tiptoeing their way into the playoffs, I'm not a believer that they're going to be a factor.
Interesting story to follow, and they're probably going to get blown out in D.C. next week because I've been talking about them. That's what happened to Washington. 4th down.
4th down. 4th down.
I got to go quick here. Cowboys, Titans, who you got?
A hankering for NBA basketball. Cowboys, Titans suck. Cowboys, whatever. They're on national TV. I'll go 35-10 Cowboys. Let Ezekiel Elliott get loose. He'll blow out the Titans.
Every time I think the Titans are done, they figure out a way to come back, and yeah, they're just on the borderline of good and bad. Marcus Mariota always seems to shine in these situations, and the weakest part of their defense has been their secondary. They're getting Kenny Vaccaro back, and I don't think the Cowboys will be able to take advantage, even with Amari Cooper. I don't think they'll be able to take advantage of that weak secondary, and I think the Titans pull off the upset. Give me Titans 24, Cowboys 20.
We've already blown through this, so I'll ask you this since we're so late anyways. Kyle, let's say the Titans beat Dallas by 2 touchdowns or more tonight. They beat them in Dallas on Monday Night Football. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being for sure, 1 being no chance. What are the chances of Jason Garrett getting fired this week?
2.
2. National TV, home, Titans. Man, that guy's got pictures of Jerry Jones. Something.
They haven't fired him yet.
Right. They'd be 3-5.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, let's do some Kings basketball. We'll look back at yesterday's game, but more importantly, we'll look back at the big win streak before that. I've got some numbers for you guys on the Kings season so far, and I want to talk to you. Like I said, we'll touch on the Bucks game, but let's talk about this homestand and look forward, not backwards, at that loss. We'll take your calls at 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. We're back in a couple. Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Kings' winning streak came to an end last night in Milwaukee with the Bucks downing Sacramento 144-109. Justin Jackson was the lone bright spot for the Kings. He had 22 points on 9 of 12 shooting, including 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a triple-double for the Bucks, 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 assists. The Kings are off today and tomorrow before they welcome in the Toronto Raptors on Wednesday. That will kick off a 4-game homestand. 2 A's walked away with Golden Gloves. The awards went to first baseman Matt Olson and third baseman Matt Chapman. Both of them were first-time winners. And in some NFL action yesterday, the Rams are no longer undefeated. They lost to the Saints 45-35 in New Orleans. The Steelers beat the Ravens 23-16 in that AFC North showdown. Atlanta was all over Washington 38-14. And the Patriots rallied late to pull away from the Packers for a 31-17 victory. Monday Night Football will wrap up Week 9 of the NFL season with the Titans visiting the Cowboys in Dallas. We'll have that game for you right here on Sports 1140 with coverage beginning at 5 o'clock. Those are your top stories, and now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
It's The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
All right, let's do this. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. That's your Fire Wings hotline. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com. Just wing it. You can also text us, as I said, 441140, brought to you by Jiffy Lube. And I want to remind everybody, a lot of you have been getting turned on to the old video cast, and we thank you for that. Just go to the top of the KHTK.com website if you're on a desktop. You see a little listen or watch live button, the player. Scroll down if you're on a tablet or a cell phone, and see what all the hullabaloo is about. Let's get to the Peckus moment from yesterday's game.
Mason accelerates up the floor, 3-on-2. Weaves toward the left wing, gives it up to Jackson, slashes into traffic, puts it on the window, and scores it. Nice little friendly bounce that time for Justin Jackson. Let's make that your Peckus brother moment of the game.
Thank you, G-Man. Peckus Brothers moment of the game. Get the spectacular backyard you've always wanted with a beautiful Peckus Brothers patio or sunroom. Best price, best value, guaranteed each and every day. Peckus Brothers. All right. Some things on the Kings, Kyle. Kyle Madison.
Kings things.
Kings things. That's already taken.
Kings and Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The Kings' 6 wins. And this is before last night's games. Let me stress that. The Kings' 6 wins come against teams that are a combined 20 and 30. Their 4 losses against teams that are a combined 24 and 12. Now, as of yesterday afternoon, when I looked at these numbers, their opponents have a combined record of 44 and 42. I'll say that again. They have won against teams that are a combined 20 and 30. They have lost against teams that are combined 24 and 12. Now, that being said, 2 of those 4 losses came against Utah and the Pelicans, who currently have a combined 8-game losing streak. So that makes it look that's I think what I'm trying to say is that 24 and 12 mark of teams that have beaten the Kings. That's actually it should be better than that. I don't think New Orleans nor Utah are as bad as they've been lately, and obviously Anthony Davis has missed some time. That's a big deal. Also last night, there were some weird wins that happened in the NBA involving some teams the Kings have beaten. The Wizards, this wasn't that weird. The Wizards beat the Knicks 108-95, which is a win the Wizards really, really needed because trades and or firings seem like they're imminent there. The Magic went into San Antonio and beat the Spurs 117-110. That was not something anyone expected. The Grizzlies lost to the Suns, and the Timberwolves got blown out by the Trailblazers up in Portland by 30. I say that just to kind of keep in mind that Minnesota goes down to L.A. to take on the Clippers, and then they'll come up here and take on your Sacramento Kings. What is my point? The Kings have beaten the average to below average teams. The Kings have lost to really good teams: Denver, New Orleans, Utah, Milwaukee. They're beating, I don't want to say who they should beat, but they're winning the winnable games. They're losing the really tough games. It very well could be what they are. And this isn't trying to bring people down to earth or be negative at all. I'm just saying that's what the season's been so far.
And is that not a step up?
I think it's a huge step up. Absolutely.
This is if people listening were like, this is a playoff team before this year, like, sorry, man.
No.
But if your goal for this season for the Kings was to see an improved basketball team taking strides, taking steps forward, that's what you've seen.
It is.
I think last year's Kings through these 10 games are like 3-7.
I agree with you. And remember, I said in their first 20 games, 3-17 to 6-14. Well, they're already at the 6. They're already at the 6. They would have to go on a 10-game losing streak. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're seeing what now they haven't gotten Bogdanovich back, which we talked about. So that's not, please don't read that as negative or really, I mean, it is a positive. I think it's a positive. Kyle explained it as a positive. They're almost certainly not a playoff team. And it's not that last night proved that. It's just what it is. And when you somebody asked me this yesterday, when you look at their wins this year, when you look at their 6 wins, like, what would you call their signature win? Just want some crowd noise in there. What would you call what would you call their signature win? You want me to read you their wins real quick?
Yeah,
so everyone can play along at home?
There's definitely going to be one in here. Hang on.
Hawks, Magic, Heat, Wizards, Grizzlies, Thunder.
I think the Grizzlies.
You think the Grizzlies?
Yeah.
I would say the Thunder because they beat the Thunder on the road in Oklahoma City the night Russell Westbrook took over. Now, the Thunder have not been that great so far. I think the Grizzlies game was a great win. The fact that they went back-to-back in Miami and Orlando, that's fantastic. And Atlanta, they blew off the floor. Those are all fun wins, but those are also internal wins that are fun for us because we generally don't do well in Miami. We really don't do well in Atlanta. That was the first time we'd won there in 11 years, and we blew them off the floor after losing by 46 last year. But in the big scheme of things, they haven't beaten like an amazing team. Or they haven't, I mean, you could argue they haven't beaten an above average team. I think still their best win, yeah, it's against Memphis. Their best win is at home, what was it, 97-92 over Memphis. Memphis is 5-3. Oklahoma City is now 4-4. But Memphis is the only, let me check to make sure I'm right. Yes, they are the only team they've beaten that's above 500.
Okay, but so they opened the season against the Jazz.
Yes.
A Jazz team that had the week prior
had run us off the floor.
Blown them out in the preseason.
Yep.
They hung in there against the Jazz.
Yep.
And theoretically could have won that game.
It was there. Definitely.
They get blown out by the Pelicans in their first road game of the year.
Who started out, by the way, the Pelicans started out 4-0. That blowout looks worse now, but Anthony Davis has been hurt. That was a 4-0 team.
Right. And then you get that Nuggets game. They lost by 14, final game of a road trip in Denver. And they kind of hung around with the Nuggets team that is good.
That is really good.
So you're looking at 3 losses there against, like we've said, 3 playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 of those, they kept it close.
Yep.
And I know that there are going to be people like moral victories are stupid and blah, blah, blah.
Not for a rebuilding team, they're
right.
not.
When you're looking for steps forward, that's all I see looking up and down the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
There haven't been any giant steps back where it's been like, oh, shoot, maybe they're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If they lose 10 in a row, then we can evaluate that. But sometimes teams lose, but the Warriors last year, I think, lost by 40 twice in Utah. Like, it just happens sometimes in the NBA.
It does. It absolutely does.
They went 3-1 on a road trip.
And winning on the road in the NBA is not an easy thing.
Very difficult
for average to below average teams.
That is where it all starts. If you can go above 500 on the road or 500 on the road, you're in a really good spot.
And I think if they were to continue, even if you told me for the rest of the year, they're going to beat all the teams they're better than, and they're going to lose to all the teams they're worse than, you're probably talking about a 38-40 win team, which would be amazing.
Yes.
Also, if we want to get really optimistic,
really hot.
Let's remember that they are 6-4. That's it. That was the whole segment right there. They're 6.
Let's hit the break.
Let's remember they're 6-4. They have played 7 road games, 3 home games. They have played the entire year without their best player from last year, who's going into his second year in the NBA. They are also the only team in the NBA, and this is where it gets really interesting, and this is where the front office is going to have to make a decision that a front office for the Kings hasn't had to make a decision about in a long time, in which they weren't delusional. They're also the only team in the NBA with money, and they have a lot of it. Like, they have a good amount of money. They're sitting there with this war chest of cash, and no one else has it. So when you go around and you look at, okay, and I'm not suggesting any of this, I'm just saying, for example, not an endorsement here, the name that continually gets brought up. If they were to go to Minnesota and say, we know we're not getting Jimmy Butler, but what do you want for Andrew Wiggins? That's a conversation that's going to get had. If they were going to go to the Wizards and say, hey, I see Otto Porter. I see Kelly Oubre Jr. What do you think? These are teams that have or could be having money issues or need for cash. Now, I'm not endorsing Wiggins. I don't think Minnesota necessarily wants to trade Andrew Wiggins, especially with Jimmy Butler about to be gone. But if they finally decide they have to make a move on Butler and freeing up a lot of money to go after free agents and or to absorb other things makes sense for them. Well, here's a guy that is on a huge deal in Wiggins. The Kings are a team that can absorb that deal, right, which may make a Jimmy Butler trade better for the Timberwolves, and then they decide to just build around Karl Anthony Towns, which isn't a bad guy to build around, by the way.
No, he's pretty good. You see with this team the impact Nemanja Bjelica has, and he is at least so far in his career, has been a pretty replacement level player. Like just a 7th, 8th, 9th guy. He's just kind of there. Imagine the impact like a true impact player could have. So like you said, those conversations, some people, if you polled Kings fans, you might get 60-40 yes or no one way or the other on wanting Andrew Wiggins. But that's not the point. The fact is they can do. There's an opportunity here that is unique to Sacramento.
Absolutely.
And we talk about all the time, like free agents don't sign here. But if they're going to go get an impact player, that's how they're going to have to do it. And they have the means to.
I think we've also seen with the whole free, and I've been screaming from the top of my lungs about free agents not signing here. I'm with you. But if they continue at this clip and you're giving other players an opportunity not only to get paid probably a little bit more than they get paid somewhere else, B, get the street cred of helping to turn around this ball club. Hey, don't you want to be Chris Webber? Don't you want to be Vlade Divac, but actually go over the hump this time? They saw what Sacramento was like. You want to be treated like a god? You want to live in an area that's nice, you can move your family to. Look at Bobby Jackson, look at Vlade Divac, look at Peja Stojakovic, look at all these players. Doug Christie that are not from here but now live here. Like, it's obviously a great place where NBA players enjoy. So, hey, what do you think about coming over here? And we're going to let you play with De'Aaron Fox and friends. That's going to be more attractive to a lot of NBA players now than it was 3 weeks ago. And that's something that we need to recognize, is that what the Sacramento Kings are doing right now, and I'm not suggesting that they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not suggesting they're going to win 42 games and go, or 41 and go 500. What I am saying is that please realize, for all the negatives that we can talk about, they are 6-4. They do not have their best player from last year. Harry Giles has given the team nothing so far, and that's not shade at Harry Giles. It's understandable, but they haven't gotten anything out of him yet, and they have a ton of cash. That's 3 pretty decent-sized bullets, or 2.5 in their gun they haven't fired, and they're 6-4. Now looking ahead to this week. The Kings now come home for 4 games. They play Toronto, who absolutely massacred the Lakers last night. Yeah, sorry. That was amazing.
It was really, really cool.
It was really enjoyable. I enjoyed it, Kyle. And I'm not just saying that because I hate the Lakers. Yes, I am.
Did you see how gray LeBron's beard is getting?
It is. Oh, and man, like, can you imagine if he let the gray just grow and he didn't touch his hair on the top of his head at all? How old he'd look?
I think that's the next evolution for LeBron. Just embrace the old man, dude.
Just go bald?
Either go fully bald or let the hair grow out and let that hairline, let it shine, baby.
The Lakers trailed the Raptors by as many as 31 points in the first quarter. Here's what's neat about that, Kyle. They are the first team in the last 20 seasons to trail by 30-plus in a first quarter at home. 20 seasons. That's a lot of seasons, Kyle. And they have the best team in the NBA, the best player in the NBA.
And it's already happening. The Magic Johnson admonished Luke Walton, and as soon as you brought up the person who shall but not be named, a quote from him comes out.
Oh, I disagree with that. No. LeVar Ball. I said it 3 times like Beetlejuice. I hope he shows up. I thought about this really strong over the weekend, and you and me and a lot of Kings fans on Twitter were saying, don't say his name. He's been quiet so far. And then I went, I had an epiphany. I said, hold on. We want LeVar Ball. I want more of LeVar Ball. I want all LeVar 24/7. I want a LeVar pay-per-view channel. I want a free LeVar channel. I want LeVar Ball's Christmas on the Hallmark Channel, because the more LeVar Ball, the more chaos there will be in Los Angeles. We need him.
Would that be called Deck the Balls?
Yes, Kyle. It would be. Yes, yes.
That's what she said.
Oddly enough, that's also the name of the Draymond Green autobiography.
That's what she said.
Here's the thing. We need, not all heroes wear capes, Kyle. We need more LeVar Ball. We need him putting out more shoes. We need him talking about how he could coach them to a championship. And here's what LeVar Ball and I might agree on, which is the first time and last time I'll probably ever say that. I think it's very funny how the national media has, and in some cases very understandably, this isn't Carmichael Dave, Sacramento chip on shoulder. Imagine this. The national media has killed Vlade Divac for being a stupid general manager that doesn't know what he's doing, okay? And I'm not saying turn it around yet. That's fine. But you let Magic Johnson, like Magic gets credit for signing LeBron, right? Please. LeBron signed with the Lakers because they're the Lakers. It's not like Magic closed the deal. And then what Magic and Rob Pelinka proceeded to do, and we knew it in the offseason, he proceeded to surround perhaps the greatest player ever with literally a grab bag of, let's see how crazy we can make the team around him. JaVale McGee, Rajon Rondo, Lance Stevenson. And then LeVar Ball and Lonzo Ball, that circus, the LeBron circus and all that. Why isn't the national media right now saying Magic Johnson might be the dumbest general manager in NBA history? We don't know that yet, but it's certainly looking good because he's Magic Johnson, that's why. I love Mav. I have no problems with Magic Johnson, but that is criminally stupid what he did in the offseason to surround LeBron with that.
If Magic Johnson was the general manager of the Memphis Grizzlies, LeBron is not signing with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Thank you. If I'll go a step further, Kyle. I think if Magic Johnson is the general manager of any team in the NBA not named the Los Angeles Lakers, let me reverse that, and then we'll take a break. I think if Kyle Madson is the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers,
yeah, I think I could nail down that LeBron deal.
LeBron James is still suiting up in the purple and whatever. We'll take a break.
Purple and black.
When we get back, let's get into the NFL. Big games over the weekend. Rams, Saints, Packers, Patriots. Got some numbers for you. And when we get back, I'll tell you why the Pittsburgh Steelers should just give the double bird to Le'Veon Bell the moment he tries to report. I'll tell you exactly why and all. I have numbers to back it up, Kyle Madson.
Let's do it.
It's The Drive. Back in a couple. Sports 1140 KHTK.